Look at all these happy people.
Shall we get the magic lamp?
I think it's over there. I'll get it. Yeah.
Oh, there it is.
That's a good.
Let me show Ed us if I can do it.
Okay. Perfect. Good morning. It is so good to be standing out front and welcoming so many smiling faces on an incredibly beautiful morning. Welcome to you all. My name is Tony Fisher, for those of you who don't know. I would love to this morning thank the members of the Forum Committee. Now, the Forum Committee is a little bit sort of, it's not as solid as any particular committee, but the Forum Committee has presented some wonderful programs already this year and promises to do so for the rest of the year under the theme of Where is Florida Heading? So let's give our thanks to Jeannie Goldberg and Ellen Prokopow and Michael Finkel and Dick Mackin, and who am I missing? There's plenty of folks. Dick Mackin, absolutely. Thank you all. It's just an incredible gift that you provide to the congregation and the community, so thank you all very much. And I'm thankful that actually one of those folks is up here as our worship associate this morning, Michael Finkel. Welcome.
Thank you, Tony. We're so glad that you've joined us, whether you're here in the sanctuary or watching us on Facebook, live at home, or sitting out on our pavilion. Please know that you are always welcome here. We are a welcoming congregation, freely seeking intellectual and spiritual growth. We strive to create a larger community of peace, justice, and love. Here we learn and grow together and try to live our lives out in public. If you are new to our congregation, we are especially grateful that you found us. Our hope is to make you feel welcome here and help you find ways to connect. And now let's take a deep breath as we enter into our time of worship with this morning's prelude. Go sit.
Welcome to this sanctuary of peace. May you find some stillness here to calm a busy mind. Welcome to this sanctuary of love. May you find here open arms to embrace you in both joy and sorrow. Welcome to this sanctuary of knowledge. Here may you find new ideas to help guide your daily choices. Welcome to this sanctuary of hope. Here may you find the courage to challenge injustice. Within this sanctuary and within this community, may you find what you need to live your faith. Please join me in the chalice lighting response in your orders of service or on the screen. At times, our own light goes out and is rekindled by a spark from another person. Each of us has cause to think with deep gratitude of those who have kindled the flame within us. And let's rise in body or spirit and sing our opening hymn, number 318 in the gray hymnal, We Would Be One. The words will be on your screen.
We would be one as now we join in singing our hymn of life to pledge ourselves anew to that high cause of greater understanding, of whom we are and what in us is true. We would be one in living for each other to show to all a new community. We would be one in building for tomorrow a nobler world than we have known today. We would be one in searching for that meaning which binds our hearts and points us on our way. As one we pledge ourselves to greater service, with love and justice strive to make us free.
So happy Hanukkah. This service has been on the worship calendar since July, before the situation in the Middle East blew up with the horrific attack on October 7th and the devastating and ongoing response since then. And while I have considered this service a number of times in the last 2 months and thought about maybe waiting till next year, I find in this story something that speaks to me about not only those times but these. And I hope in this service I can tease that something out and share it with you. If I fail, then I hope that you will forgive me. On the surface, the story of Hanukkah is remarkably simple. We have the good guys, the Maccabees, fighting for their way of life and religious freedom. And we have the bad guys, the tyrannical Greek overlords, smothering the Jewish nation and their religious tradition. We have an unexpected victory, a celebration of deliverance, and the rededication of the temple in Jerusalem made even more wondrous by the miracle of 1 day's supply of consecrated oil lasting for 8 days, the 8 days it would take to make a whole new batch of consecrated oil to keep the eternal flame burning. Of course, history is never that simple. And the story of the Jewish revolt in the 2nd century BCE is no exception. It took place within the context of a world dominated by Greek ideas and culture that blossomed following the conquests of Alexander the Great 150 years before. After Alexander's death and the breakup of his vast empire into 3 kingdoms, Judea found itself under the control of the Seleucid kings, heirs to one of Alexander's gifted generals, who ruled a large expanse of territory to the north and west of current-day Israel. The Greek Hellenistic culture that the Seleucids promoted acted as a powerful solvent to dilute traditional Jewish practices and mores. As time went on, the priests and the Jewish aristocracy in Jerusalem drew closer to their Greek contemporaries, and those Hellenized Jews began to see the old traditions of Jewish separation and distinctiveness, characterized especially, but by no means exclusively, by the dietary laws. They saw these things as being outdated and parochial. Had it been left to happen gradually, the almost irresistible force of Hellenization might have taken over the Jewish people. But the Seleucid king Antiochus IV, overreacting to a minor political intrigue in 167 BCE, decided to push the agenda. His army stormed into Jerusalem and, according to 2nd Maccabees, massacred or sold into slavery 80,000 Jews. He defiled the great temple in Jerusalem, dedicating it to Zeus, and in a departure from the usual Greek and Seleucid practice of letting subjects maintain their own customs, decreed the prohibition of Mosaic law and forced, sometimes quite brutally, those who remained to follow the Greek religion. The revolt that ensued came from outside the cities, where the simpler folk who had continued to maintain the old traditions were incensed by the defilement of the temple and the abrupt dismissal of their religion. The individual who emerged to spark the revolt was Mattathias the Hasmonean, a priest from the small town of Medellin, 20 miles west of Jerusalem. For him, the conflict was not about religious freedom or individual conscience. The family and people who finally stood up to the Greeks were fundamentalists, who saw this battle as between a corrupt earthly power and the law of Yahweh, and they were willing to sacrifice their lives for the cause. Mattathias, who died early in the revolt, left his sons to carry on the fight, and they became known as Maccabees for their successful guerrilla tactics. Maccabee is the Hebrew word for hammer, and it was used to describe the fierce attacks and blows hammered down on their enemies. The revolt was ugly and brutal, often pitting Jew against Jew, but slowly the Maccabees were able to build a coalition of groups who began to believe that their traditional way of living was worth saving. 3 years into a 5-year war, and after much back and forth, the Maccabees were able to carve out some territory and take back Jerusalem. As heroes, they entered the city and rushed to the temple to restore it. And no wonder, because the temple in Jerusalem was no less than God's home on earth, the Holy of Holies, the place where God said he would meet with his people. They rushed to reconnect with their God, their reason for being. Let's join together in our centering hymn. Great hymnal gathered here. The words will be on your
screen. Gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered gathered here in the struggle and the power. Spirit, draw near. Gathered here in the mystery of the hour. Gathered here in one strong body. Gathered here in the struggle and the power. Spirit, draw near. Gathered here in the mystery. Gathered here in the mystery of the hour. Gathered here in one strong body. Gathered here in the struggle and the power. Spirit, draw near.
We join together each week, glad to see each other, to reach out a hand, give a hug, meet eye to eye. It's a comforting feeling to come into community and be together. And it is this time in our service that provides us a moment to share those very personal joys and sorrows that we might wish to let the congregation know about. Not time for announcements or events at all. Nothing political, something that you're holding in your heart. If you have a joy or a sorrow that you'd like to share, I'll come out and you raise your hand. I'll bring you the microphone. I have a particular joy that I'd like to share this morning. This morning we have with us Darrell Holcomb, who I hope will stand up and let himself be known. Darrell, if you don't know, is a ministerial candidate serving currently as an intern at the Frederick, Maryland congregation.
I love you so much. Oh my God, Tony. Hey, everybody.
This congregation is Darrell's sponsor in his candidacy for ministry. He came to us 3 years ago when we were searching for a religious educator during COVID, and at that point we decided not to hire, but he and I just kept talking and talking and talking, and I'm so proud and grateful that he has continued his journey towards ministry.
Yes, I love you. Y'all are, listen, we're so blessed to have Reverend Tony. Can y'all put your hands together for Reverend Tony? Oh, I love him so much.
Thank you.
I love you.
All right, take care.
So I will say, I'm hurting a little bit.
So your microphone's yours.
It's joys and sorrows.
Yep.
I couldn't preach at my cousin's funeral because I'm gay. And my name was on the program, and they didn't allow me to preach. Can y'all hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay. They didn't allow me to preach because I'm gay and because of my nails or whatever have you. But UU has a way to heal. None other than anybody else. And so I love Unitarian Universalism, and so that's why I'm here today. Thank you all for welcoming me.
Thank you.
This is very difficult for me. My name is Dina Sewell. I have a younger sister, Anna. We both grew up in Norway. Her daughter was married to a Dutchman. They have 3 beautiful children. The day before Thanksgiving, he ended his life because he had terrible MS. At the end, he could only touch his fingers, could move. But the Netherlands has this very solid way for you to have an assisted suicide. But I ache for those children. They're in their 20s.
We ache for you, Dina. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Daryl Manning, a pretty new member here. Though I've been a Unitarian for 40 years or so. This is a sorrow, but kind of a joy, too. Interesting that Dina just talked about her friend going through a terrible ending to their life. This is for my friend, who I met at the Unitarian Church in Westport, Connecticut. And she's in late stage cancer. She has been one of those people that lights your flame. And for me, she's been that. I'm flying up on Tuesday early to be with her and her family and all the people we know, because the special project is being dedicated in her honor at the library in that town where I grew up, and Jerry did too. So this is for Linda, her family. She'll be going to Vermont, where they do allow assisted suicide or compassionate care in dying. She changed the law in Vermont to allow non-residents to go there to live the last days of their life in dignity and with love.
Thank you, Daryl, for sharing.
Hi, my name is Rick Greenwald, and this coming Tuesday, it'll be 11 years since my best friend passed away from pancreatic cancer. We were best men at each other's wedding. My wife delivered their children, so we were pretty close, and I'd like to remember him. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hey, my name is Ron Baldwin. A joy. Yesterday, there was an Army-Navy football game. Our son went to the Naval Academy. If you want to have hope for the future, consider the quality and the commitment and the honor of those young cadets and midshipmen that you saw yesterday. It is truly a joy for all of us.
Thank you, Ron.
Hi, I'm Susie Riddle, and I have a joy. November 27th was mine and my identical twin's birthday. She passed 20-some years ago from a head injury in a motorcycle accident. And it was kind of a bittersweet day, too, because we always went to Lahaina Inn Resort on Fort Myers Beach for Thanksgiving, because my mom's birthday was the next day. Well, it doesn't exist anymore, Lahaina Inn Resort. So it was a bittersweet day. But 2 days later, I had organized a birthday party at the Greek Taverna, and I actually got 10 of us to go. And it's not been that easy making friends in my community. And everybody had a wonderful time. It was fantastic. And my other good news is last Monday, I went to Moffitt Cancer Center and got very good news on all my lab work.
Excellent. No, I'm here, not up there.
My name is Nora Marks, and my joy is very simple. After a lot of things getting in our way, we made it back. And the weather feels so wonderful, and we're so glad that we're back here with our friends and with our community. So that's my joy.
Welcome home. Right over here. Somebody over here. Janet.
Hi, I'm Janet Maluzzi, and our joy is that our daughter Alyssa is visiting from Kansas, and she attends the UU in the Kansas City suburbs.
Awesome. Welcome, Janet. Welcome, Alyssa.
Hi, my name is Frank Neppo, and it's a joy. This past Thursday, we had our 10th annual tree lighting in Immokalee. We had hundreds of people attending. We had dancing, caroling, and I think it was much better than what they did on 3rd in Naples.
Pass that down to Harriet.
I'm Harriet Lancaster. I wasn't going to say anything because there's so much sadness, but we've had some joyful announcements too. So my husband Jim, his very good childhood friend, died, and I'm going up Thursday because his funeral mass is on Friday. And then a good friend of mine told me that her husband's son died of cancer this week. So a lot of death, but a lot of joy in the world too.
Thank you, Harriet. Anyone else?
I'm glad to be here.
There you go. And there can be joy in the midst of sadness. The veil between joy and sorrow is woven very fine. And we recognize the sorrow that each of us carries with our losses, and each of us has experienced those losses, and still can find the moment, the smile, to lift us, though sometimes it's hard to find. Let's join together in the spirit of meditation. Spirit of life and love, creative force, be in us now and always as we work to heal this world, the only world we will ever know. We live in gratitude for this earth that sustains us, and in humility, knowing we are but a small part of the greater whole. Let us honor our joys and our sorrows, our differences and our similarities. Let us forgive each other's shortcomings, understanding that hope lies only in an ever-broadening sense of community. May our hearts always seek a deeper understanding and to learn the lessons that history and our own experiences provide. May we use our reason to create spaces within which new choices can be made. May we find the courage to face our fears, the determination to weather difficult times, and the faith to know that peace and justice can prevail, even if the arc of justice spans many generations. Let's sit together in silence and take this time to consider these things and remember those we hold dear.
The reading this morning comes from the scroll of Antiochus. Though once reputed to be written by the Maccabeans themselves, it was penned sometime between the 2nd and 5th century of the Common Era, more than 300 years after the Maccabean revolt. So we don't know what was embellished, subtracted, added, and so on. But this is how it was written. After this, the sons of Israel went up to the temple and rebuilt its gates and purified the temple from the dead bodies and from the defilement. And they sought after pure olive oil to light the lamps therewith, but could not find any, except one bowl that was sealed with the signet ring of the high priest from the days of Samuel the prophet. And they knew it was pure. There was in it enough oil to light the lamps therewith for one day. But the God of heaven, whose name dwells there, put therein his blessing, and they were able to light it from 5 days. Light it from 8 days. Therefore, the sons of the Maccabees made this covenant and took it upon themselves a solemn vow, they and the sons of Israel, all of them, to publish among the sons of Israel, to the end that they might observe these 8 days of joy and honor, as the day of feasts written in the book of the law, even to light in them, so as to make known to those who come after them that their God wrought for them salvation from heaven.
The second reading this morning is responsive, comes to us from Unitarian Universalist religious educator and minister Lynn Unger. The words will be on the screen to share or on the back of your order of service. Michael and I will take turns reading those words in Roman letters, and I hope that you will join us and join together in the response, which are printed in italic.
Come down from the hills, declare the fighting done.
Come down. Try to remember a life gentled by daily acts of domestic faith.
Come down and settle, unlearn the years of hiding.
Declare your presence, your loyalties, the truths for which you do not expect to have to die.
I say you are the stuff from which miracles are made.
If I am not for me, who will be? If I am just for me, what does that make me? And if not now, then when? If not now, then when? וכשאני V'im lo akshav, imatayim lo akshav, imatai. If I am not for me, who will be? If I am just for me, what does that make me? And if not now, then when? If not now, then when?
The story of the Maccabean victory and the restoration and rededication of the temple in Jerusalem is told in 1st and 2nd Maccabees, historical books that exist within the biblical Apocrypha. Nowhere in these books, nor in any of the existent contemporary accounts of the rededication of the temple, is there a mention of the miracle of the oil. The festival of rededication that was established at that time ran for 8 days to correspond to the 8 days of celebration that accompanied the dedication of the first temple in the days of Solomon, 800 years earlier. The miracle of that long-lasting oil doesn't show up in any form for at least another 300 years. What is documented, however, is the unfortunate rigidity of the Maccabean Hasmonean rule in Judea. As we have seen in our own times, the combination of fundamentalism and power can be stifling, and it was no different in this case. After solidifying their power, the Maccabeans exerted as much or more control than the Greeks before them. Under Hasmonean rule, the Torah became the obligatory law of the land, and non-Jews were forced to convert. From within the seeming triumph of traditional Judaism over outside forces, old factions began to reemerge over time. Factions that fought the same old battles. How can we follow tradition and still function in this Hellenized world? Shouldn't there be a separation of power between the temple and the state? Over time, the Jewish liberators became tainted and solidified their power with sometimes brutal force. As their wealth and dominion increased, they became the tyrants and were themselves taking up in the continuing march of Hellenism. Looking back, it is difficult to judge the Maccabees. We can see them as both liberators and zealots. Like many figures in the Bible who can teach us so much about ourselves, these people were multi-dimensional. And even our judgments of them today become layered with our own needs and experiences. We may identify with the Maccabean fight to preserve Judaism in the face of assimilation and anti-Semitism, while at the same time working to mitigate religious zealotry that threatens to turn us against one another. As author and scholar Rabbi Irving Greenberg writes, following generations struggled with the deviations and ambiguities of the actual historical record and of the movements through which it seemed God saved the people and the faith. So they began to idealize the holiday. Almost 300 years later, the rabbis who were putting together the Talmud, that rich commentary on the Hebrew Scriptures, were well aware that the Maccabees' military victory had saved the nation. But the rabbis realized that getting stuck there would be self-destructive. In their own time, after the destruction of the temple in Jerusalem in 70 CE, it was crucial for them to focus on the universal message of courage and hope, and to do so in a way that didn't lift up military resistance, which in hindsight they saw as dangerous. The rabbis understood the power of story. So it was that the miracle of the temple flame, the myth built upon real history, is what has survived and has helped sustain people of the faith for 2,000 years through good times and often very difficult times. In a sermon celebrating Hanukkah, Rabbi Gregory Marks of Congregation Beth Or in Ambler, Pennsylvania, asked why we celebrate Hanukkah for 8 days. According to the miracle story, the Maccabees had enough oil for the first day. So the miracle really occurred on the following 7 days. So why do we commemorate an 8-day miracle? His colleague, Rabbi Avis Weiss, responds, needing oil for 8 days. But having found oil that could last for only one, most people would not have lit the temple candelabra at all, a flame that by God's decree was to be kept burning eternally. Why light when failure is certain? Why make the effort if the effort is doomed? The miracle of the first day is the Maccabees found the inner strength, the inner courage to light the menorah in the first place. They did not give up, for nothing is impossible, and in the end they prevailed. No one is immune from moments of darkness, but light can remove the darkness. Day follows night. The enduring message of Hanukkah is to kindle the first light, to care, to be concerned, to lift others. In the end, the ancient rabbis said, a little bit of light has the power to drive away the darkness. This was, in essence, the message of Hanukkah that my wife Ann and I tried to relate to our boys as we honored the holiday as good Unitarian Universalist parents. A number of years ago, I asked my youngest son what he remembered about our Hanukkah celebrations, and he surprised me by saying it was his favorite part of the holiday season. He said that when we lit the menorah in the dining room window against the backdrop of the darkness outside, he felt the wonder and mystery of the season more than any other time. As Unitarian Universalists, we have a long tradition of looking for the universal in every story. That's why we celebrate the fact that we draw from many sources in our search for truth and meaning. We believe that each religion has strengths that have stood the test of time, gifts that they offer through their stories and traditions that point the way to universal truths and help us understand our lives together on this planet. Even in the messy history of this celebration, there are lessons to learn and opportunities to see ourselves through a different lens. Are we the Greeks, pumping out our culture across the known world? Or are we the people of Judea, feeling that our identity and our way of life is being threatened? Are we the Maccabees, willing to fight for that way of life? Or are we the ones in hiding, just wishing we could live a good life without fear? Can we recognize in ourselves a fundamentalism that dehumanizes the other and cuts off the possibility of dialogue? Or can we see where opportunities lie to choose a different path, to change ourselves and the world? Hanukkah is a holiday rooted in history rather than in nature. It comes near the solstice, so its emphasis on light feels very natural at this time of year and consistent with the seasonal festivals of other traditions. But that is only a coincidence. The roots of Hanukkah are both human and miraculous. They take us to a messy history, and even though that distant mirror reflects back to an equally messy and complex present, it helps us ask what separates us from ourselves and from each other and from our ground of being. The story tells us that even in our own messy lives, we can rededicate ourselves to being the best of who we are as individuals and as a community of faith. It reminds us that there remains always opportunities for erasing of defilement, for renewal, for a reconnection to the life we want to live, to the people we want to be, and that in and of itself is a miracle. As Rabbi Mark said, In an age of skepticism, sometimes it is we who must offer an example of faith. From some inner place, we must, at critical moments, find the courage to kindle the light in the face of darkness. That's how the world is improved. That's how sanctuaries and synagogues and mosques are built. That's how we overcome the problems of day-to-day living. That's how we get up in the morning. Someone kindles a light against all odds, and miraculously it survives and inspires others to rekindle their flame. May this be the lesson of Hanukkah. May we rekindle our own light and inspire others by our courage.
As we take time to reflect on today's service, let's also take time to show our gratitude for this community and all that it does and all that it is and does. This morning's offering will be gratefully received. Please consider sending a contribution today. The information you need to donate is on the screen behind me.
So a quick translation of what I'm about to sing. Basically, how good and pleasant it is when all people dwell together in unity. That's one translation. Hine ma tovun anayim shavat achim gam yachal. Hine ma tovun anayim shavat achim gam yachal. Hine ma tovun anayim shavat achim gam yachal. Hine ma tovu manayim shavat achim gam yachad. 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 Shavat achim gam yachad.
We have a few reminders of what's happening this week at UUCGN before we sing again. Sign-ups for Chalice Circles continue on the pavilion after the services this week and next. The membership committee is asking you to participate in the upcoming photo directory. The first photo shoots will take place on December 12th and 13th. An exhibit of David Bothworth's photography and John Roberts' sculpture will be mounted this week in the Menaker Gallery. The gallery committee hopes you will stop by to view some wonderful pieces and join them for a reception today after coffee hour. Make your plans to attend the annual Holiday Music Fest this Wednesday, December 13th, starting at 6 p.m. This ever-popular evening of great food, great music, and great fellowship is brought to you by the Wonderful Wednesdays and the music community. Sign-ups are required for the meal. And, okay, I have one more too. Romeo's will have its first meeting of the year, the only one of December, next Thursday, 8 o'clock at the Skittles near what used to be the Bed Bath & Beyond Plaza.
And anyone who has expressed an interest or would like to spend 45 minutes to an hour for an orientation, if you're new to this congregation and would like to learn more about it, at about 11:20, we'll meet back in the sanctuary. So orientation, new to UU, as I guess what we should call it. And now let's rise in body or spirit, join together in our closing hymn. Light one candle. Now, if you've sung this as a Unitarian Universalist, you might just loosen up a little bit. And the same words, the same melody, but let's enjoy a little bit of a different approach.
Light one candle for the Maccabee children when thanks that their light didn't die. Light one candle for the pain they endured when their right to exist was denied. Light one candle for the terrible sacrifice justice and freedom demand. But light one candle for the wisdom to know when the peacemaker's time is at hand. Don't let the light go out that's lasted for so many years. Don't let the light go out, let it shine through our love and our tears. One candle for the strength that we need to never become our own foe. Light one candle for those who are suffering the pain we endured so long ago. Light one candle for all we believe in, that anger won't tear us apart. And light one candle to bring us together with peace as a song in our heart. Don't let the light go out that's lasted for so many years. Don't let the light go out, let it shine through our love and our tears. What is the memory that's valued so highly? We keep it alive in that flame. What's the commitment to those who have died when the cry that they're not died in vain? Have we come this far always believing that justice would somehow prevail? This is the burden and this is the promise, and this is why we will not fail. Don't let the light go out, it's lasted for so many years. Don't let the light go out, let it shine through our love and our tears. Don't let the light go out, don't let the light go out, don't let the light go out.
Light fires that can be seen for miles, that dance and spark and warm the frozen marrow. Set lamps in the window. Declare your presence, your loyalties, your truths for which you do not expect to have to die. It would take a miracle, you say, to carve such a solid life out of the shell of fear. I say, you are the stuff of which such miracles are made. Go in peace. Go in love. Have a wonderful day.